Hey guys, Shadowhunt005 back with another Pokemon video, and as we know at the moment, Pokemon has currently stopped all events for the near future due to what's going on in the world at the moment, and this of course includes all the planned pre-releases of Rebel Clash, which was due to start this weekend. However, that does not mean that you're unable to get pre-release boxes, as Pokemon have authorized them to be sold in the stores that would have received them for the event. So seeing as how Rebel Clash pre-release events were supposed to start over this weekend and it's coming out in about 3 weeks, I thought we'd have a look at the promos that you would receive. So as with all recent pre-releases, we'll be receiving 4 cards of Pokemon from the set with alternative artworks, as well as the set's logo in the corner of the artwork. And with Rebel Clash we have Flapple, Luxray, Colossal and Garbodor. So with these being the 4 promotional Pokemon, what that's telling me is anyone who does receive a pre-release kit should be expecting Pokemon of the Grass, Lightning, Fighting and Dark typings. Not to say that we won't get other typings, as I highly expect Fire type to also appear in pre-release boxes, but those are the 4 main ones that you should expect. What is also interesting is that none of these are basic Pokemon, which is only the second time since Pokemon has released 4 promos in pre-releases that we haven't had at least one basic. Given this, we should expect that their previous evolutions should be in the boxes as well. But enough about the pre-release boxes, let's go through what each of these promos actually does. So we are starting with Flapple, the Dragon Apple Pokemon. It's a Stage 1 Grass Pokemon, so I expect that any pre-release kits that contain this card will mostly have Grass Pokemon, and you should expect it to have the basic form Applin, possibly Applin's other evolution, Appleton, but he's the other Apple Dragon that we aren't going to go into in this video. Sorry, Appleton. Flapple has a HP of 80, making it the weakest of the pre-release cards coming out. However, it's also the only one of the 4 that doesn't have a weakness to one of the other promo cards, as we'll see throughout this video. Speaking of weakness, it has a weakness to fire, no resistance, and a retreat cost of 1. It has an ability called Apple Drop, which I'm hoping is a clever nod from Pokemon to Isaac Newton, with the apple falling on his head. And this allows you to put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon, and if you're able to put the damage counters on in this way, you must shuffle this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your deck. So I'm already liking this ability, as it means if this Pokemon is about to get knocked out, just use the ability and scoop it back into the deck. You could also use this ability to bench snipe some of your opponent's Pokemon, potentially knocking them out if they've only got 10 or 20 HP left. Now, as specifically said on the card, the damage has to be done to a Pokemon for it to be able to return to the deck, meaning that cards that prevent damage from abilities or things like bench blockers also prevent this Pokemon from returning to the deck. Now, as for its attack, Acid Spray, this costs 2 energy of no specific type and does 60 damage. It also has a secondary effect, Flip a Coin. If heads, discard an energy card from your opponent's active Pokemon. This attack is obviously good at disrupting your opponent's energy stockpile, which in pre-release of only 40 cards can make a huge difference in my opinion. This is also the only promo card which has an attack that doesn't need a specific energy typing, meaning that it can be put in pretty much any deck without having to put a second energy typing. Moving on to our second promo, we have Luxray, a Stage 2 Pokemon. Now, I'm only focusing on this card just like I did with Flapple, but for those already thinking, well, this is a Stage 2 Pokemon, it's going to take longer to get onto the bench, I will make you aware that this set has 2 different Luxio cards, one of it giving the ability to put it straight onto the bench when it is drawn from the deck, making it quicker for this card to come out. Now, we don't know which Luxio will be included in pre-release boxes, if either. However, if it is the one I just stated, then that would go a long way to changing how quickly this card can actually be brought out. So this Pokemon, along with Colossal, has the highest HP with 160. However, this Pokemon also has weakness to fighting, meaning it's the first of today's Pokemon to be weak against one of the other promos. It's also got no resistance and has a retreat cost of 1. It doesn't have an ability, but it's the only one of the promos that has 2 attacks. The first being Raid, which for 1 lightning energy, this attack does 60 damage, and if this Pokemon evolved from Luxio during this turn, this attack does an additional 100. Now that makes this a pretty powerful attack when the Pokemon first comes out, as it can one-hit any of the other promos straight away, and as I said, only for the cost of 1 lightning energy. But what happens the next turn when you're back to doing 60? Well, let's look at the second attack. Headbolt. For 1 lightning energy and 1 other energy, this attack does 120 damage. So that'll knock out 2 of the other promos in 1 hit, but it'll leave Colossal with 40 HP. Speaking of, Colossal is our 3rd promo card in this set, a fighting Pokemon, which I've already said has 160 HP, and just like Luxray, is a Stage 2 Pokemon. So unlike Luxray, there's no quicker way to potentially evolving this Pokemon up, and that's got to be one of the biggest disadvantages to this Pokemon in a pre-release. Now, looking at it at face value, people are going to think, well, the attack cost is pretty high as well, but I'm going to explain why that isn't as much of a big deal shortly. But first, let's look at its weakness. It's weak to grass, therefore it's weak to Flapple. Though Flapple would only be able to do 120 damage, and yes, it would remove an energy if you should flip a head on a coin, but that's more likely to go to waste on a fully powered Colossal if not done in a specific way. Colossal has no resistance, but it does have a heavy retreat cost of 4, which you would expect from a large Pokemon such as this, especially in the fighting type category. So with an attack cost of 4 energy and me saying that Flapple's energy removing ability would only work sometimes, why do I feel energy is not that much of a problem? Well, it all comes down to Colossal's ability, Tar Generator. Once per turn you may attach a fire energy, a fighting energy, or one of each from your discard pile to your Pokemon in any way you like. So this ability, as you can see, can be used to get Colossal the energy it requires very quickly in decks that run both fire and fighting energy. But what does its attack actually do? Well, Colossal's attack is called Flaming Avalanche. For 1 fighting energy and 3 of any other type of energy, most likely a fighting and 2 fire energies using that ability, this attack does 130 damage. And when you actually look at the other promos, Luxray and Garbodor both have a weakness, so this would make it 260 damage to both of those. It's the strongest attack of all 4 promos with the highest cost, but as I've said, it's not as hard to actually get that going as would be expected. Moving on to our final promo Pokemon, we have Garbodor. Now, to me, this Pokemon is the one that's out of place. It's a Stage 1 Dark Pokemon with 120 HP. It's got a weakness to fighting, as previously said, no resistance, and a retreat cost of 2. But that's not why it stands out. The reason it stands out is because of its ability, Poisonous Puddle. Once per turn, if a stadium is in play, you may leave your opponent's active Pokemon poisoned. Now you're probably thinking, well, why is that such a big deal? Why does that make it stand out? And the reason that I find it odd is that it's the only Pokemon from these 4 promos that requires something else to be used to its full potential, a stadium. Now I could be wrong, but it's unlikely, though not impossible, that they would include one of the stadiums from the set in a pre-release pack. Has happened before where you do get some stadiums, generally that's from the packs that you open as well. But if it's a case of you're not getting any stadiums, this ability is unlikely to be used in a pre-release format. And yes, I realize there's not going to be any official pre-release tournaments, but if there were, this would make this card's ability worthless if you don't have a stadium, making it unable to release its full potential. But let's see what else this Pokemon has. As for its attack, Sludge Bomb, this requires 1 dark energy and 2 other energies, and does 80 damage. So to me, this card feels like it's pretty average in a pre-release tournament, and the other 3 cards all have their own separate ways of getting the upper hand, whereas this one doesn't unless you can get stadiums. But what do you guys think? Which of these promo cards is your favourite? Are you able to get hold of one of the pre-release kits that are going on sale? And which of these do you feel is the best? Thanks for watching, and until next time, see you guys.